Thank you to Jamie Morrison for being in studio. And now another one of my fellow Liberty Toastmasters, Kurt Gurwitz. Professor Gurwitz is in studio with me. Welcome, Professor Gurwitz.
Thanks for having me, Kim.
That's hard for me to say, Professor Gurwitz.
I'd go with Professor Kurt.
Professor Kurt.
Yes.
Okay. And we're going to talk about the Bidenomics here in a little bit. There is so much going on out there, though. We've got other guests coming in as well. I want to say thank you to the Harris family for their gold sponsorship of the show, and thank you to the National Shooting Sports Foundation for their gold sponsorship of the show as well. And individuals cannot join the NSSF. It's industry only, but they can support the industry by going to the range, buying a new firearm, training, and supporting companies that support the Second Amendment. And they're doing a lot of great work. We've got some things coming down the pike here down at the Colorado State Legislature that will make it more difficult for law-abiding citizens to have a firearm to protect themselves against bad actors. So that's why it's so important to have those discussions. Kurt Gurwitz, you're in once a month, and we normally go to lunch at Hooters restaurants.
And we always get the same thing, both of us.
I'm going to get something different.
I'm so excited for you.
Yes, because I actually had lunch with the folks from Hooters restaurants on Thursday, and the nachos were super good. So I think that's what I'm going to have today. But Hooters restaurants, it's such an important story about how I got to know them. And it's a story about freedom and free markets and capitalism and those pesky PBIs, those politicians, bureaucrats, and interested parties that like to try to control people's lives and take their stuff via taxation.
And is that when you picked up the moniker, the Queen of Freedom?
That is when I picked up yes, that's quite the story. So, yes. And freedom can be interesting sometimes, but freedom, we need to err on the side of freedom. But my friend Ben Martin said that actually liberty is the responsible exercise of freedom. So freedom doesn't mean just willy-nilly. There's lots of responsibilities with that as well. So let's jump in here. We've got a lot going on, Kurt Gurwitz. So word of the day, this is Abraham Lincoln's birthday. So I decided to go to an Abraham Lincoln quote. And I chose fourscore and 7 years. Do you know how long 7 years is?
Oh, boy, I should. What's a score?
It's 20.
It's 20 years, okay.
So 87 years.
87 years.
Just think about it. And he gave the Gettysburg Address in 1863, so the Civil War had been going on for, a couple of years. And so just 87 years after our country was founded, we go to war to answer this question, could one man be the property of another? And the answer is no. And so anyway, I thought, again, 7 years, I thought it would be good for us to remind ourselves of what that is. So Abraham Lincoln, quote of the day. He was an American lawyer, politician, statesman. He was our 16th president. He was assassinated in 1865. He was born February 12, 1809, in Sinking Spring Farm, at Sinking Spring Farm, Kentucky. Died in 1865. He said this: "America will never be destroyed from the outside. If we falter and lose our freedoms, it will be because we destroyed ourselves." What do you think, Kurt Gurwitz?
Yeah, I mean, you look at the fall of civilizations, it's internal rot.
He also had a quote along that line, too.
I mean, if you look at an individual and you say, like, what is, is that person suffering from the outside circumstances, or is it the internal behaviors that really are the internal chaos that causes the problems in a person's life? And it's... Yeah. It's not the things that happen to us. It's our attitude and how we respond to it.
It really is. Attitude is so important. And that's why this whole victim mentality that we see in America right now is it's so detrimental. Because if you feel like you are, if you're told you're a victim, then you don't believe that you can do something about the stuff that's going on internally. And those that try to make people feel like victims, I think they know that.
Yeah, the victim competition. I'm more of a victim than you are. It's just a silly. I believe that we're always either on a virtuous cycle on the way up, or we are in a vicious cycle on the way down. There's no in between. We're one or the other. Yeah. And look, victims have, there's some sense of like there's a truth in that.
Well, I think we've all been a victim of something.
we're all victims of our circumstances, and we
Yeah.
didn't pick our parents, and we didn't pick our language, and we honestly, most of us didn't choose which country. You didn't choose which country you were born into. No one did.
I'm grateful that I'm here, though. But we all have had things that have happened to us where we could look at ourselves as a victim, but we actually have to look each and every one of us as an overcomer. So, again, this is Lincoln. He said, America will never be destroyed from the outside. If we falter and lose our freedoms, it will be because we destroyed ourselves. Getting over to Bill of the Day, House Bill 24-1039. Non-legal name changes, concerning non-legal name changes for students in schools. And this is playing into this whole political pronoun thing. But this is what the Colorado Union of Taxpayers is recommending a no vote on this, and this is our commentary. It says, dictating pronouns that kids may change on a whim disrupts the classroom. With many students across Colorado unable to read, write, and do math at proficiency levels, CUT is quite concerned about the amount of instructional time, money, and energy that will be diverted to the pronoun political agenda. You want to make any comments, or shall we continue on?
Oh, let's just move on.
Let's just move on that. Okay. And again, that is House Bill 24-1039. The show comes to you because of great sponsors. One of those is the Roger Mangan State Farm Insurance Team. And I'm talking with Roger Mangan with the Roger Mangan State Farm Insurance Team. And Roger, you suggested that we discuss this topic, comparative negligence. I don't even really know what that is.
Well, if you have an accident, we're in a car now. We're talking about car insurance. So if you're in an accident, and whatever the circumstances may be, unless it's clearly you're stopped at a stop sign, you're waiting there and someone rear ends you, chances are it's going to be 100% the other party's fault, and they'll admit it. But if you're moving and the other car is moving and hits you, comparative negligence can come into play. So some tidbits we haven't discussed before in your program, Kim, would be, how does that work? Colorado is a modified comparative negligence state as opposed to a pure comparative negligence state. So, for example, there are 12 states in the District of Columbia that utilize pure comparative negligence as the basis for assigning liability. And Arizona, Alaska, California, Florida, Kentucky fall into that category. Modified comparative negligence, to confuse the matter even more, there is a different interpretation of modified comparative negligence. I am not an attorney. I'm not going to get into the legal what-fors or questions related to this. I'm giving you a general description. So if you have an accident, please do not get out of the car, exchange information, waiting for the police, which, by the way, rarely come anymore unless there's some bodily injury involved. So take pictures. Be sure that you are saying to them, don't say anything to them about it being your fault, because you don't know comparatively how the claim will flow in the process. So you exchange information, take photos, call the police, or at least file a counter report. And a counter report is the police won't show, so you have to go to the jurisdiction where that accident occurred and file a report over the counter. So it's called a counter report. Locate witnesses if there are any around. Very important, because it's your word against the other party's word. And who really determines the comparative negligence? Once a claim is filed with Company A and Company B, both adjusters look at the facts as they're presented. And from a police report, that would be a big help if they were there. They make a determination on comparatively who should have done what to minimize or avoid this accident. So there's rarely an accident that is 100% the tortfeasor's fault. Tortfeasor would be the one that committed the situation, the liable party. So you end up waiting for the adjusters to work it out. And by the way, if the adjusters can't work it out, there's a system in place called arbitration, where, let's say it's American Family and State Farm. Those two companies would submit to a group of other non-involved insurance companies, and that group of 2 or 3 people would make a decision as to breaking the tie on comparative negligence. So there are systems in place. So anyway, beware as a consumer and call your insurance agent, get some more clarification, or your attorney if you want. And by the way, one of the attorneys I work with and refer a lot of business to is a guy named John Monson. He's been in Denver a long time, and I think it's important to deal with somebody who's very good at what they do. And John falls into that category.
Well, and that's a great endorsement, Roger. Boson Law is a relatively new sponsor of the show, and I really excited to work with him. And every one of the sponsors that I work with, they strive for excellence. They want to serve their clients well. And so, Roger Mangan, I'm so thrilled to have your team as a sponsor. And people can reach you at 303-795-8855. Like a good neighbor, the Roger Mangan team is there.
Thank you, Kim, very much. We appreciate being a sponsor.
With the limited number of homes in the Colorado Front Range market, Karen Levine can help you achieve your home buying or selling vision. Karen has the right connections, technology, and strategies to help you buy or sell your home or to purchase a new build. Whether you're feeling overwhelmed or want someone to take the wheel, or you just need a second opinion, you can rest assured the RE/MAX Realtor, Karen Levine, is the right agent for you. Call Karen Levine at 303-877-7516. Karen is the trusted professional who strives for excellence. That number is 303-877-7516.
You'd like to get in touch with one of the sponsors of The Kim Monson Show, but you can't remember their phone contact or website information. Find a full list of advertising partners on Kim's website, kimmonson.com. That's Kim, MONSON.com.
And welcome back to the Kim Monson Show. Be sure and check out our website. That is Kim Monson, MONSON.com. Sign up for our weekly email newsletter. You can email me at kim@kimmonson.com as well. Thank you to all of you who support us. We are an independent voice, which is very clear. And we appreciate your support in helping us. In studio with me is my buddy, Professor Kurt Gerwitz. We're going to talk about the Biden economy here in just a little bit. It's
Bidenomics.
Bidenomics.
Bidenomics 101.
Bidenomics. Bidenomics. Okay. Hey, I did want to mention this. At the top of the hour, we always hear from Bill Federer. He's a regular guest on the show. He's nationally known for the American Minute, and he is going to be the keynote speaker at the Weld County Lincoln Day Dinner, which is February 24th. You can get more information by going to weldcountygop.com, and I will be emceeing the event. So very excited about that. It should be a lot of fun. So we'd love to have you join us. Again, that is the 24th. Kurt, before we get to Bidenomics, wanted to talk with Karen Morgan because this is a really hot issue right now. There's going to be a meeting tonight in Lakewood, Colorado, and citizens are very concerned that their hard-earned resources that the city is taxed and feed from them is going to be used for illegal immigrants. And in particular, they're concerned about the Navigation Center. And somebody that knows a lot about this is Karen Morgan. Karen, welcome to the show.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
So you're pretty informed on this. Do you live in Lakewood, Karen?
I do. I've been here for 20 years now.
Okay. And a number of my friends in Lakewood are really concerned about what's going on in Lakewood. I did in the first hour share a communication with Mayor Wendy Strom regarding some of these concerns. But this meeting tonight, is this a city council meeting? And I know a number of people are saying show up.
It is a city council meeting at 7 o'clock down at city council, and there will be people for and against a whole host of issues. There are 3 things on the agenda today that people are talking about, and that is welcoming migrants. As you said, the Navigation Center that will make Lakewood like the homeless central service area for all of Jefferson County, and then the strategic housing plan, which has elements that, like the city manager mentioning using a Jefferson County abandoned school. So there's a lot of things to talk about here.
Okay. So first of all, I think welcoming illegal immigrants, to our communities. And Karen, I've said I have great compassion for people throughout, my fellow human beings throughout the world. I pray for peace and prosperity and joy for each and every one of them. However, with what's happening at the southern border, we need to have an orderly, lawful system. And we do have laws in place, but they're not being followed. And so we have no idea who's coming across the border. I was watching one of the news things about the Super Bowl, and one of the dark side of the Super Bowl is child trafficking. And the fact that there are 85,000 children that have come across the border and we don't know where they are, this is irresponsible. So first and foremost, if people are coming here for free stuff or they want to hurt us, we don't want them here. But people that want to come here for the American dream, there's laws to do so. So this whole welcoming thing, I'm a little concerned about that particular language, Karen.
You are not alone in that. Welcoming is, there is a language war about there will be welcoming. It's not a sanctuary. What's going on? But you're right. And then it gets to be into the compassionate zone of the war. And I think everybody is compassionate toward the people. I haven't heard anybody say anything negative toward the people. You're absolutely right. Everybody talks about the law. Is this a nation of laws, and are we following the laws? And that's what people really want to support. And you really can't support, force a philanthropic effort. If this is something that somebody wants to do, you can be for or against that per the person. But somebody else may want to choose to donate their time and money to something else. And that's just where it is. On the person side, like you said, this is on the migration side, you got to look at, is it a lawful effort? And there's a lot of things surrounding that. So.
Okay. Let's just quickly move over to the Navigation Center. There's a lot of money that has been, I guess, already put into that. And again, remember that government cannot spend or give money to one person that they haven't first taken from somebody else. And my understanding is there's on the docket tonight $9.3 million or something regarding the Navigation Center.
The city will be appropriating $9.3 million that they got from the state. So they are saying they're not spending it because they got it from the state. There's also $6 million coming from the county. That will be coming from the federal government. There's a lot of money on the table for the Navigation Center. And again, it has not been discussed. They say words like, we're going to help the homeless, we're going to help the unhoused, and everybody agrees with that. But this is a big regional effort where cities like Westminster, Golden, Arvada are supporting us, and why they're not taking it on themselves.
Interesting. So, hey, final thought on all this, Karen. I appreciate late breaking that you would come on this meeting. I think that I saw something where they're recommending that people show up around 5:30 so that I guess they can get a seat, see what's going on.
Absolutely. There's a group demonstrating at 5:30 for the migrant effort. So be there, and if you wanted a seat against that effort, there will be people showing up at 5:30 either way. Come early for a seat.
Okay, and that will be in Lakewood at the City Council chambers, correct?
Correct, on Allison Parkway.
Okay,
yeah.
Great.
Thank you much.
Karen, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Okay, Kurt, this is late breaking. We've got so much information going on about this. So next thing, Kurt Gerwitz, we should be on video because you lived in New Orleans for many years, and you came Mardi Gras with a Mardi Gras hat.
I did. Today is Lundi Gras. They've started to name this Monday, which is so on Wednesday, which is Valentine's Day. So here's my joke.
Okay.
So I'm traditionally Catholic, so I'm going to go to church and ask the priest if I could get a heart shape instead of a cross shape in the ashes on my forehead. It's a joke. They won't do that.
Because actually, and Lent starts early this year.
Yes.
Ash Wednesday is this Wednesday, so Mardi Gras is like the party
the day before.
Lent.
So we're going to go into 40 days in the desert with Jesus. He was tempted by the devil to use his godly powers to honor himself or something, and it's a great metaphor. I like to use it as a there are people like Tim Ferriss is a fan of a 30-day challenge to better yourself. Mm-hmm. And so I'm taking my 40 days to challenge myself to better myself. I'm going to watch less TV. I'm going to clean my room. And so I'm going to be a better person between now and Easter. That's my ambition. And when they used to just give up meat, you would wasting meat is also a sin. So you got to eat the fatted calf on Tuesday, the day before you go into the desert with Jesus. Mm-hmm. So Mardi Gras is French for Fat Tuesday, and we're going to we always live it up. It's a celebration of life. I'll tell you, for me, I could talk about this all day, Kim. Mm-hmm. It really has restored my faith in humanity when you go see the world's largest free party. For 15 years, I was like, I don't want to go to the quarter. It'd be too crazy. Because I was there. I went to 26 Mardi Gras in a row in New Orleans, and they have 36 parades in 2 weeks. And it's just to see the humans who have worked all year to put together their costumes for that one day, and it's not commercialized. And, they're throwing beads from these floats, and they're not advertising for Budweiser or Pepsi. And it's just what humans can do. The spirit there, it's wonderful.
Okay, so Mardi Gras and coming into Lent, 40 days, reflection on Christian faith, reflection on Christ, and what it meant when Christ came to God's Son came to earth as a baby to ultimately overcome sin and death. It's quite the story, and it's such an important one. But kind of final thought on all this. Let's wrap this up, and then let's go to break and talk about Bidenomics.
So what are you going to do between now and Easter to be ready for, the greatest story ever told is the story of resurrection after death. Mm-hmm. Everything that, the violence of a childbirth, for example, mm-hmm. or the American Revolution, all the violence and death that happens there, and then what's on the other side is the question. And the fact that there can be great things on the other side is an amazing story.
Well, ultimately, Kurt, that Christ overcame sin and death is the story, and so that everyday people can have a relationship with Him. I've thought a lot about. I think America's in a really dangerous time right now. And as I really look at some of these things that are occurring, I can feel myself getting anxious. Sometimes I can feel fear starting to crop up. What we do every day, we have a very, I'm trying to have a reasonable, rational voice, but that requires a lot of work to know what's going on. And when you think about Christ in the Garden of Gethsemane, I can say that, where he's saying, if this cup could pass, if I don't have to do this, and he actually sweated blood. You got to think his blood pressure was probably pretty whipped up, that whole human component of it. And so sometimes I look at what's going on and it's like, But he said, if this is what I need to do, I will do it. And he did it. He went to the cross to overcome sin and death. And I look at what we are faced with right now, and it's like I had given the quote from Frodo and Gandalf where he said, I wish this would not occur in our time. And Gandalf says, but, this is, I'm paraphrasing, this is our time. So when I say on the show that we were made for this time, we are. And I pray for guidance as we walk through this, because there's some very dangerous things that I see out there. And one of those goes to this open border. We don't know who's in our communities. And then we have down at the state legislature them trying to pass legislation to make it more difficult for law-abiding citizens to bear firearms to protect ourselves against bad actors. And so that's why we do the show. That's why Cut does what they do, is because we need to shed light on this. Kurt Gerwitz, your final thought on that before we go to break and come back with Bidenomics.
It sounds like you're clear on your mission and your purpose, and that meaning in your life will buffer the inevitable suffering. And the path here is we all carry our own cross, and we pick it up, and there for every victory, we can celebrate victories, but we don't always often see or recognize the sacrifice. Think about how much the Chiefs and the 49ers, how much they sweat and
to prepare
and drew blood, for decades of their lives. They've, these men have suffered on the practice field to get to the glory that they had on Sunday, and yeah, so it's work, and it's, I'm glad you've got a clear. The thing about the Garden of Gethsemane was Jesus, and the thing about him in the Gospels is he was such a prayerful person. He would get away from people and pray. That's one of the things he did, and just listening to that Christ consciousness inside of you, and what is my path to do the most good that I possibly can with the time I have, is the ultimate thing. And so you're doing that. I think you're on the right. You're gonna, because look, we're gonna suffer one way or the other.
Yeah, we are. But we continue on. We have these important discussions because I have great sponsors. A new sponsor of the show is Lavaca Meat Company, and I actually had one of their fabulous 6-ounce fillets last night as I was watching the Super Bowl. It is, when they say the steakhouse experience, they aren't kidding. It was absolutely delicious. And again, so pleased to have Lavaca Meat Company as a new sponsor.
Lavaca Meat Company takes great pride in selling only the best. Lavaca Meat Company is a third-generation family-owned business with its roots in eastern Colorado. Lavaca means the cow in Spanish. As our name implies, we only sell beef. No poultry, pork, bison, or game. Just premium quality, aged, mouth-watering beef. Our store is located at the corner of Main and Nevada in the historic Coors Building in downtown Littleton. For a steakhouse experience at home, visit us in person or shop online at lavacameat.com. Lavaca Meat Company, only the best. Again, that's lavacameat.com.
If you are 62 or older, a reverse mortgage could be a great tool regarding retirement and estate planning. It is essential to understand the process. Lauren Levy with Polygon Financial Group has nearly 20 years in the mortgage industry and has the experience to answer your questions. Lauren understands that each financial transaction is personal. If you'd like to explore your options on a reverse mortgage, remodel your home, buy a rental property, or move, call Lauren Levy at 303-880-8881. Licensed in 49 states, Kim Monson highly recommends Lauren Levy for all your mortgage needs. Call Lauren at 303-880-8881.
Focused and wise marketing is essential for your success, especially during tough economic times. If you love The Kim Monson Show, strive for excellence and understand the importance of engaging in the battle of ideas that is raging in America, then talk with Kim about partnership, sponsorship opportunities. Email Kim at kimmonson.com. Kim focuses on creating relationships with individuals and businesses that are tops in their fields. So they are the trusted experts listeners turn to when looking for products or services. Kim personally endorses each of her sponsors. Again, reach out to Kim at kimmonson.com.
Welcome back to the Kim Monson Show. Check out our website. That's Kim Monson, MONSON.com. Sign up for our weekly email newsletter. And you can email me at kim@kimmonson.com as well. Kurt Gerwitz, my fellow Liberty Toastmaster, is in studio. We're going to get to Bidenomics here in just a moment. Mary Jansen is on the line, and she wanted to make a comment regarding all this brouhaha in Lakewood. Mary, welcome.
Oh, hey, Kim. I just wanted to go back to that navigation center. The 2 years that I was on council, it was all homelessness. That's all we heard about. We have to take care of our homeless. And then this navigation center, actually it wasn't the navigation center, it was called this Recovery Works, was a business that wanted to start this and, to help bring in help for the homeless and the addicted and getting people cleaned up and getting them jobs. And it was a great idea, I thought. We already put a little over $9 million into starting up that program. That was one of the votes. That was one of the last votes that we took before I left. And all of a sudden, it just changed to migrants. And there's a couple people, and I think they're really involved in the government that were kind of leading this charge. And I noticed that they are also leading this charge for this meeting on tonight at 5:30. So it's just kind of, it's like all this connecting dots. What's going on? What is still, and now there's more money.
Right. $9 million is a lot. And we will continue, Mary, to connect the dots. I'm just thinking this Recovery Works, we probably need to take a look at their financials. And also, what kind of results. That's the problem with NGOs that get government money is we never then see the results. And so I think it's important on that. Anything else, Mary?
No, that's it. When Karen was on, I said, oh, you know what? I remember making that vote for that recovery center last fall to get it started. So it's kind of like that camel's nose under the tent. Let's get this part, right. And they wait a little bit so you forget about it, and then they do the next part. So right. Yeah, this is what we all have to worry about.
So keeping an eye on it's so important. Mary Jansen, thank you so much.
Thanks, Kim. Bye.
Okay, and before we get into this, I'm going to mention the Center for American Values. It is non-political, it is nonpartisan, but they're focusing on honoring our Medal of Honor recipients, as well as great educational programs to instill in ourselves and our children these values of honor, integrity, and patriotism. They are located in Pueblo, Colorado. More information at AmericanValueCenter.org. Let's get to it, Kurt Gerwitz. Bidenomics.
I love that you've added an O to the Bidenomics. We do have St. Patrick's Day in the middle of Lent, so we, you get dispensation for, because obviously Jesus, 40 days in the desert, he came out to wear green and celebrate his Irish heritage, obviously. So Bidenomics was first coined in June of 2023 by the Wall Street Journal and the Financial Times. They came out with it at the same time to describe, this economic policy by Biden, and it was a negative term. It was a slam on what he was doing, and then he picked it up as like, oh no, we're gonna change the narrative, and so he owned that phrase Bidenomics, and now you're not hearing about it anymore because it's easy to look at the economy and see what you want to see because it's like a Rorschach test. There's so much there. It's not. I'm not going to say it's chaotic. I'm going to say it's complicated. And it is convoluted. And so we could talk about immigration is part of the economy. We could talk about deficit spending and the debt spiral. That's a major negative. We could talk about jobs and the participation rate as well as the unemployment rate, and that's a major positive. We could talk about inflation, another major negative. We could talk about GDP. It's a major positive. And so we can talk about the stock market. We're at record highs in the stock market, major positive. So you can pick and choose out of here what you want to follow your narrative. But Bidenomics has like 3 pillars. It's the public investments section. So we've put money into infrastructure, into semiconductors, clean energy, climate security, whatever that means. And so the public investments is one of the 3 pillars. Empower and to educate and grow the middle class. So that's the second pillar. And then promoting competition for entrepreneurs and small businesses. So this is
what he says?
This is what he wants, yeah. It sounds great, doesn't it? This is exactly what you would want.
What he's doing is killing the middle class.
Yeah, we got to study. I would have to study that a little bit more. I think... I lived in Mexico City for a period of time, and I saw a 2-class society, right, where there isn't, there's not much of a middle class, and they're also like what we forget about America is how generous America is, and I think there's a primary mistake in thinking, a logical fallacy that the government equals society. That if the government doesn't take care of our homelessness or our migrants, or whatever the government is trying to the price of housing is a problem, right? And the government is if they aren't doing it, then we aren't doing it, and that's just not true in America. That it's our donations, it's our nonprofits that are holding this country together, and are they better charitable institutions than the government itself, that every dollar it touches goes to 20 cents on every dollar goes to maybe corruption, but definitely inefficiencies and bureaucracies.
So that means somebody, though, when we say bureaucracies, somebody's making money. And one of the problems with people, and Brad Backus said this, people say somebody should do something. Well, government is more than happy to step in and say, we'll solve that problem, but they don't. So let's take a look at homelessness. You're much too young, but you probably don't remember when at the time Mayor Hickenlooper said 5 years and we will eradicate homelessness in Denver. Just give us more money. Well, right now that there's at least $500 million, if not more, that's going into the homeless here in the Denver area. And do you think that anybody that's on that $500 million gravy train is ever going to want to solve that problem?
Yeah, when I was in my 20s and working for nonprofits and trying to save the world, and homelessness was a question I thought I could think through and solve. Someone very wise and smart said to me, whenever you see a system of injustice, ask yourself who's benefiting from the way it is. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, there is a homelessness industrial complex. There are people who would suffer if we actually ended homelessness.
but that is the bureaucrats and politicians and interested parties that are making big bank on the tragedy of others. And that's, this whole thing regarding the illegal immigration. There's nothing compassionate about it. I was talking with someone that I know that did come to this country illegally many years ago, but did not come for free stuff, came for the American dream. And this person's comment, I said, so what do you think about all this? And this person's comment was, I feel badly for all of these illegal immigrants because they're being used as pawns. And I'm like, that's pretty much true. Because as Mary Jansen has said, it had been sold to City Council, Lakewood City Council, all this money for this navigation center to help the homeless. But there's no way that you can help the homeless when you are helping 37,000 migrants, illegal immigrants that have come here, Kurt.
Yeah, I lived in as a volunteer, lived in a Spanish-speaking only homeless shelter in Houston for 3 months, and we would only help the immigrants who did not have papers, and we would not use the phrase illegal. We wanted to, because of our passionate Christian convictions, that Christ said, when did you? When someone, I think it was Peter, said to Christ, "Well, when did I clothe you? When did I feed you, Christ?" And he said, "Whenever you've done this to the least of my people, you've done it to me." And so that's the argument for this radical charity where I was living. But they had this ideology that a person cannot be illegal. So they like the phrase undocumented. But yeah, there's no compassion in what's happening at the border right now. It's quite chaotic. It's by drawing these people into
who's benefiting. Well, the NGOs are benefiting because they're paid big bucks, and many. And
well, you saw, right. You want to see where the problem is. Follow the money. Absolutely.
Yeah. And these NGOs, and unfortunately, Catholic Charities and Lutheran Family Services are two of those that, I can say that because I sat on the board of Lutheran Family Services for 6 years. And it took me a while to figure it out because I thought, this is a charity. I gave money, I gave time, I gave, I gave, furniture, all kinds of things because I thought we were helping people that were coming to America because they had been persecuted because of their Christian faith.
And are you saying you're jaded on that now that you saw the bureaucracy, or you saw the benefits of getting that sweet free government money, that free lunch that comes from the government?
So then what happened, Kurt, is I started to look at the finances on it. And I started to realize, I'm like, wait a minute. At that time, about $12 million of a $14 million budget was coming from the government. And I'm like, wait a minute. So the thing about it is government is force. And so you can't force charity. And so they're taking money from one person and giving to another. But then I saw that that's another thing about these top people at these nonprofits, these NGOs. They're making big bank. And I was a little shocked at that. And then I said, well, can we assimilate these refugees, asylees that are coming in? They said, no, we can't talk about the American idea because we take government money. I said, how about the Christian idea? Nope, because we're taking government money. So anyway, final thought on that. And then we've got, like I say, jam-packed, lots of things going on. So final thought on all this, Kurt Gerwitz. Bidenomics, what do people need to know?
It's a mixed bag. In politics, the politicians are so afraid to talk about the economy, or they're so respectful of the state of the economy. Since my Louisiana friend James Carville said, "It's the economy, stupid," back in the Clinton era, and we have a better economy than then, but people feel worse, and so individual economies. Why do people feel worse? Well, Thanksgiving this year was 25% more expensive than the year before. And in general, across the board, in the inflation, 15% raise in prices. And so people feel terrible. It's also, I hate how it is. Our view of the economy is more and more related to which political party we subscribe to. Like we thought that the internet was going to democratize information, and what we've discovered is that like getting people angry and fearful actually draws a crowd, and it's the best way to gather an audience for media like ourselves here. And it's a shame that we've created these echo chambers and bubbles, and we don't reach across the ideological spectrum to get all perspectives. We're not seeking the truth. We're seeking to confirm our own narratives, and it's easy to do with the economy because, like I said, it's that complicated. There's good news and bad news. It's a little wonky right now. It's a little distorted, the economy, and there's always going to be ups and downs. And I don't know how it's gonna play out in this, in the next presidential election. I'm so devastated that we've got Biden versus Trump again. We've got the Chiefs and the 49ers I feel like I'm living in Groundhog Day. It's 2020 all over again.
Well, we do search for truth and clarity, and truth is there is absolute truth. And that is why we do search for that. Kurt Gerwitz, you're going to stay in studio. We're going to go to lunch at Hooters Restaurants later today. But we get to do this because of all of our sponsors, and one of those is John Boson.
A recent report notes that the number of children diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder is consistently and dramatically increasing. This is heartbreaking. If your child or grandchild or someone you know has been diagnosed with autism or ADHD following exposure to Tylenol or acetaminophen during pregnancy, call Boson Law at 303-999-9999. Boson Law is a Colorado-based law firm who has been fighting Big Pharma for over 20 years. Call now at 303-999-9999 for a free, no-obligation review of your potential claim. Call now at 303-999-9999.
All of Kim's sponsors are an inclusive partnership with Kim and are not affiliated with or in partnership with KLZ or Crawford Broadcasting. If you would like to support the work of the Kim Monson Show and grow your business, contact Kim at her website, kimmonson.com. That's Kim Monson, MONSON.com.
Franktown Firearms is unlike any other gun store or range.
My name is Tony, and I'll tell you why I first started going to Franktown, because my children wanted me to get comfortable with firearms.
Franktown Firearms, it's not the kind of experience you get anywhere else.
I'm not familiar with firearms, and they just took their time and really gave me the time of day to know that I was an appreciated customer of theirs.
Tactical Fun Night is an absolute blast. To move and shoot, walk and reload and turn corners and hit moving targets.
I've been to ladies' nights a few times, and the range safety officers helped my friend who I brought who'd never fired a gun before. I felt very comfortable. I could just shoot to my comfort level. I didn't have to show up anybody, or no one was trying to show me up.
They let us go to the range and try the firearms before we bought them.
All of the staff there really took their time with me.
After going in there for the first time, we realized we didn't need to look at any other gun stores.
Franktown Firearms, where friends are made.
Welcome back to the Kim Monson Show. Check out our website. That is KimMonson, MONSON.com. Sign up for our weekly email newsletter. You can email me at Kim@KimMonson.com as well. Thank you to all of you who support us. We're an independent voice, and we search for truth and clarity by looking at these issues through the lens of freedom versus force, force versus freedom. If something's a good idea, you should not have to force people to do it. Check out the USMC Memorial Foundation. They are raising money for the remodel of the Marine Memorial at 6th and Colfax. And you can help them out by buying a brick to honor your military service or your loved one's military service, or making a contribution. Kurt Gerwitz is in studio with me, Professor Gerwitz. We talked a little bit about the economy. I do feel like we're in a recession, but that's just what I think's happening there. But let's get over here to Natalie Minton. Natalie Minton, you know her. She is very involved in being a watchdog on government, and she has been on media pretty regularly regarding this really interesting contract of Congresswoman Brittany Pedersen's husband out in Jefferson County. Apparently, he has a contract to try to encourage people to vote to de-Tabor or Colorado taxpayer Bill of Rights, their money. So anyway, Natalie Minton, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. So go ahead.
Well, no, explain this. You can do this better than me.
Okay. So for the big picture in Colorado, we've got our taxpayers' Bill of Rights, and many people are familiar that you get a check back when the government's over-collected money. It's different than an income tax refund. It's our Tabor rights. But with Taxpayers' Bill of Rights, not only protects us statewide, but protects us locally. So Jeffco, we have our Taxpayers' Bill of Rights in place. The government in Jeffco has continued to over-collect money. Therefore, we get a refund. We've been fighting them over this for a few years, and now they've got to the point where they have hired a contractor to a political operative to find potential ballot solutions. They put out a request for bids. They got 2 responses, and one of those was accepted. So though I could talk about Silveri, I want to make sure that I'm focusing on also, there's a loophole in our laws that allows governments to use our taxpayer money to campaign against us, and how wrong that is in itself. But then jumping to when I further explored this, found out that this $340,000 contract was being paid to Bighorn Company. Bighorn Company is owned by Ian Silveri. Ian Silveri, and the last name is Silverii. Silveri is married to Congresswoman Brittany Pedersen. When you dig further into the story, you see that Silveri, Pedersen, and the 3 county commissioners have known each other a long time. Silveri contributed to these commissioners. So besides the fact of one, government shouldn't be using our money to campaign against us, to raise our taxes, now it's handed to Silveri, who's in a cozy relationship, frankly, with the commissioners. And we're in the midst of this, and they want to put Silveri's task is to come up with 3 ballot proposals for this November's ballot. The contract lays out the scope of work. He is a campaign manager, but the loophole allows that to happen until they officially make it a ballot issue. That is a summary of what we've got going on here.
And you've been shedding light on this, and you're getting a lot of legs on this, because this is certainly very cozy, as you said. It's very cozy that they would be awarding this contract using taxpayers' dollars to put ballot initiatives on the ballot to encourage people to give up their Tabor refunds.
Yeah, especially in light of, we look at the property tax bills that are just hitting people's mailboxes here. By the way, we only have till the 29th to pay a few, pay in full. And we have this big, huge conversation in the Commission on Property Taxes. But Tabor at that local county level, like Jeffco, like Arapahoe County, like Weld, like El Paso, Mesa, et cetera, that is our 24/7 watchdog on property tax spikes. So the irony just strikes me. But yeah, I've got very good media connections. Sean Boyd, I've got to say, has done a fabulous job at CBS 4, Channel 4, and people can of course look it up on the internet and play that back. It was a couple weeks ago or so, and then they can also go to my website I've created, coballot.com. Okay, and that's coballot.com. That's the hub I'm going to use this year for election matters, so people can go there and find out about this Jeffco issue. They can find out that Arapahoe just hired a contractor to do something similar. Jeffco R1 School just is using our public money to look at a ballot issue for this. I'll be focusing on these kind of things at the website, and I encourage people to sign up for the newsletter. I will not spam you because I can barely find time to do emails, but some of us know how that goes. So that's the scoop. But we should not be standing up for this loophole. We should be demanding, instead of a focus on a local level and these cozy relationships, first and foremost, government should not be spending our public money on a tax increase campaign. It is wrong. It is wrong, wrong, wrong.
It is wrong. Natalie Minton, thank you so much for coming on to explain this as well. So greatly appreciate it. Kurt Gerwitz, it's great having you here. We've had an awful lot of things going on this morning, but great to have you here.
It's good to be here, Kim. Thanks for having me.
And our quote for the end of the show is from Abraham Lincoln. He said, "Great men are ordinary men with extraordinary determination." So my friends, today be grateful, read great books, think good thoughts, listen to beautiful music, communicate and listen well, live honestly and authentically, strive for high ideals, and like Superman, stand for truth, justice, and the American way. My friend, you are not alone. God bless you, and God bless America.
Further from my home, young like a new moon rising fierce through the rain and lightning, wandering out into this great unknown. And I don't want no one to cry, but tell them if I don't survive, I was born free. I was born free. I was born free.
The views and opinions expressed on KLZ 560 are those of the speaker, commentators, hosts, their guests, and callers. They are not necessarily the views and opinions of Crawford Broadcasting or KLZ management, employees, associates, or advertisers. KLZ 560 is a Crawford Broadcasting God and Country station.